I'm Guada. I'm playing Juliet in CLOCs and Juliet.
Hi, I'm Emily and I'm playing Sandy in Babirra's Grease.
How did we meet?
I think we met doing Catch Me If You Can, officially, which was very exciting for me to be in a show with you because I'd watched you in things before and I crewed Strictly Ballroom and that was very exciting to get to watch you from behind those scary set pieces, which was very good. And I remember we shared a dressing room as well.
We did.
Until you got sick.
I got sick and then I got my own dressing room.
Yes. But that was very fun because I was like, I'm going to absorb all of the talent of being in the dressing room with you. So I had this like crazy thing where I was like, this is where I absorb all of God's talent. Yeah. And then, so we did that and it was really fun being in a show with you, but obviously you're a very talented choreographer as well.
Oh.
So then getting to do Mamma Mia with you on that side of things was very exciting as well.
It was so much fun. I remember seeing you first. My first impression of you was in Windmill's Seuss. And I was like, who is this girl? She played Gertrude. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Oh my God. Imagine if I got that wrong. And like, I had no idea who you were, and seeing you come out and hearing your voice was like flawless. I was like, oh my God, who is this girl?
Thank you.
And then you kept coming out and doing amazing stuff. And then obviously Catch Me. That is a hard song that you get to sing in that show. And I don't think I ever heard you falter once.
Oh, thanks.
Her voice is flawless. And then when you came in to audition for me for Mamma Mia and the team, it was such an easy choice. You were like, again, I've never heard you falter, and there's such power behind your voice, and like, I will have you in a show any day. Like,
oh, thanks, Guada. That's so sweet.
Wow.
Well, I feel very similar about you, and like in terms of consistency, I feel the same way. Like you had, not an easy sing in Strictly as well, and like I crewed, I think every show apart from the one that I actually got to watch. And I think your professionalism and consistency as well is something to be applauded. I never heard any kind of falter.
Aww.
And then even, observing you backstage and everything, like that professionalism doesn't stop.
Yeah, but
you carry it with you.
Same for you. And you're so young as well. Like, was that the first thing that you did, Seuss? What have you done before that?
I had done some things when I was quite little, but then I took a break and that was like the first big thing when I came back. Yeah.
Well, one of the biggest things that I feel like working with you, like one of my favorite things about working with you is the amount of professionalism and maturity that you bring at such a young age. I'm just in so much awe of you. I remember being, how old are you?
21.
21, yeah. I remember. I remember being 21 and like, I was nowhere near where you are. I was still finding my feet and, finding what the right way to act was and the attitudes that you should be bringing into AmDram. And you at 21 are already like,
oh, thanks.
bringing, you're such a joy to be around and having a cast. And I feel like that's one of the most important things that you can have in an AmDram cast. We all volunteer our time and we're all there
for sure
for fun, and there's no space for divas, and here you are, the most beautiful human and leading casts, and we like to, what am I trying to say, we're all
I think I know what you're going to say.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes a difference to have your lead in a cast bring such an attitude, because we all are as important as each other, but you do set the tone and you do set an example for the rest of the cast, and I think you do such a beautiful job at that.
Thank you. And I absolutely agree. Like, I feel like we talk about a lot that at the end of the day, like no matter how seriously we take it, it is community theatre and we're volunteering our time and everybody wants to have a good outcome, even though we're doing it because we love to do it. So I think the people side of things and not having divas and like being equal and on the same playing field and working together as a team is really important. So it's very nice to hear that I can contribute to that. Yeah. And I feel the same way about you. I think I'm very lucky that I've had such good role models, even though I'm like quite young, and there's a lot of people who have done a lot more shows than I have and have got a lot more experience than me. It's very nice to have those role models and to see them model professionalism and grace and valuing the community side of things as well. So I think I've been very lucky to learn from people like you and other people in prod teams and people that I've done shows with. So it's been very easy to pick up those values and to sort of continue that as well.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. So, remember, I've been around the traps for a bit. I've been doing AmDram for 2013. When was that? 12 years ago?
Yeah, 12th year anniversary.
And, you know, I've had experiences that have been nowhere near, you know, what we have. And I feel like the last couple of years we've done shows together and we've been very lucky to have that. And I've had great experiences, and I feel like times, I guess, are shifting and things are going on the up, and it really is community theatre, and I feel like we're bringing that back, and it's really lovely to be a part of.
Definitely. Well, I'm not sure if it's similar for you, Guada, but when I was little, I really liked singing and dancing separately, and then was like, there's this whole world where I can combine these things. So I think when I was little, it was sort of that, like, there is a space for this. And then as I got older, it became almost more about the people side of things and belonging to a community. And as much as performing is still like my number one and my passion and I get the most joy out of it, now it's almost like balanced with the need to make friends and want to connect with people. So I'm not sure if it's similar for you.
Absolutely. I do theatre. I say this all the time. It's my forced social time. I have ADHD. And no way am I going to schedule some time to hang out with my friends, because that's really overwhelming for my brain. But if you go to rehearsal 3 times a week, that's essentially forced social time not forced because I want to be there, but that's time blocked out in my schedule that I get to see all my friends and get to hang out with like-minded people. I started because, again, like you, I liked singing, I liked dancing. There's videos of me up on my coffee table with like a hairbrush when I was like really little. But then when I got into high school, the school musicals were a really big launch pad for me into theatre, and that's how I fell in love with musicals. And that's also why, you know, it made such a big difference in my life, and that's why I'm teaching today. And when I left school, I was like, oh, I really miss musicals. And so there used to be, I don't know if you were ever around for theatrepeople.com.
Yeah. I went to one.
Theatre People Sings is an offshoot, was an offshoot of theatrepeople.com ? And they used to have like this calendar where they'd like put all of the auditions and like all of the shows, and like you could just go on that and see everything that was going on. And I was like, I just really miss musicals. I just want to do one. This was like straight out of high school. So I clicked on that and auditions for Slams as Rent popped up, and I did that and just fell in love with it. So that was 2013, and I've been doing shows since. I don't think I've stopped since, COVID happened. But aside from that, I've just been going, and here I am. And yeah, I started off performing for a good couple of years, and then in 2016, I want to say, like, I've always loved dance and I've taught dance for a while, and then I started getting into choreography, and now it's a bit of a balance of both. I think it's funny because we'll get into this later, but I'm obviously playing Juliet. When I got cast, there was a whole group of people that were like, oh, I didn't know you performed, because they know me as a choreographer.
Yeah, for sure.
So treading both sides, but no, I'm loving being back on stage. She's a rare occurrence, but
yeah, I think it's so funny that you mention Theatre People Sings, because that was the very first show I ever did. I got to sing at one of those. Yeah. And that was this crazy, because obviously, you know, you do school musicals and you kind of find your people there, but there's still this aspect of this is through school. Maybe there's a few people that are there for like more fun and aren't as passionate about it. And then being in that room, and I was also one of the Merce sisters in The Little Mermaid. And I think I've spoken about this before. The other Merce sisters were this super talented and just giving group of women who were all older than me and looked out for me, like, in this space. And that night was such a formative, like, now that I'm in this world, I can never go back. But to go back to what you said, when you were first performing in things, did you know that you always wanted to step into the choreographer side of things? Did that come later?
I did. I just
You had
always,
a clear path.
I did. I like loved making up dances, and like when I'd be in shows, I'd be like, oh, I think it'd be really cool. I'd have ideas
Yeah.
floating around. Would you ever prod team something?
I think I'd like to. I'd really like to maybe like assistant direct something and start off there. Yeah, I'd love to be on that creative side, because I think similar. I do have times where I'm like, oh, like I've got an idea for like how this scene should be, or like an over sort of overview of how I'd want things to be. So definitely in the future, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
Guada, you're playing Juliet and Juliet with CLOC, which is very exciting.
It is.
I'd love to know, I think you've spoken a little bit about this like online. This role is obviously very important to many people, and I think it's a big deal for you being a woman of colour yourself and playing this role, I think for the first time in the amateur community as well. Is that correct? How does that make you feel? What sort of things are you bringing to the role?
It's been insane. I have been doing shows for ages, but I don't think I've experienced something like this. On a personal note, I've had a massive year, and it's just been like, at the start of this year was pretty rough for me, and this role, it sounds really cheesy, but it's, for lack of a better word, it's changed my life really, and it's given me this whole new outlook on myself and the way that I go about my life. And she's such a powerful character, and what she goes through and the way that she, you know, deals with these challenges in her life is really inspiring to me personally. And going to rehearsal 3 times a week and forcing myself essentially to girl boss.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yep, is just incredible. And especially as a woman of colour, I think, you know, there aren't many roles out there that are written for women of colour like this, like a powerful role like Juliet. I remember seeing the professional production of Juliet, and for the first time, I was, how old was I? 20 something. I was in my late 20s, I think, when it was here. And for the first time in my whole life, I went, oh, I could do that. I could play that role. And it was it was a life-changing moment for me. I think just this role is so special to me and to so many others. Where I really, for the first time, I saw myself on stage, and I saw myself going, oh, I could be powerful. I could portray that. I could do that. And so, yeah, getting to actually live it has been insanity. It's been amazing. And you get to play the iconic Sandy. How are you finding that? How's it been?
It's very exciting. I think going into this, like, it's very interesting because obviously the movie is very iconic and people are very familiar with the story. And even though it's an amazing story that I love, obviously some of the themes now about like transforming yourself are a little bit outdated now. So I think it was very interesting. I particularly, and with the help of the amazing director, have kind of come into this from the perspective of, well, what if she became the version of herself that she always had within her? What if she could become the powerful version of herself? I guess kind of similar to Juliet. And maybe, you know, we think that that confident version of herself has just been inside her all along. And maybe she's choosing that for herself rather than doing it for a boy, you know, because we don't need to do that.
No.
So I think that's been really nice. And not to like give too much away about the direction of the show for people who are coming to see it, but I think what we've done in some parts of the show have lent itself well to that kind of personal transformation rather than transforming for someone else. And exactly like you say, it really has kind of forced me in the best way to be that confident version of myself. You know, it's very easy to play the sort of typical average version of Sandy, because that's a lot like myself, but being that super confident, powerful version of her at the end is definitely what I want for myself. And like I said about the character, it's probably a version that has always existed inside myself, but kind of being in that space and bringing that out of myself has been such a like refreshing and like transformative experience. So I feel very lucky to have had that, I think.
Yeah, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, it's
so
really nice.
It's really nice
and
to
it's
also
good for women as well, I think.
Yeah.
You know, to go through that.
It's really nice, I feel like, to talk to you about this. Well, I feel like I've been on this like girl boss journey of my own, but getting to like share that with you, it's really nice
to hear it's a shared experience.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it is for many people, but it's nice to be talking about it.
Yeah. Are you enjoying rehearsals?
Yes, I've really enjoyed rehearsals, and something that's been really good is Nina, who's playing Rizzo. I've admired her for a long time and seen her and things. So it's
Queen.
100%. I feel very lucky to be working alongside her, and we've really explored the relationship between Rizzo and Sandy. You know, it's kind of comes up in the movie, but not very much. And there was a lot more space in the show, because the story is a little bit different to the film, to explore that relationship a bit more. And again, not to give too much away, but there's definitely more of a friendship there. And the sort of transformation that she goes through is assisted by her friends, rather than feeling like the transformation has to happen for her to belong within the Pink Ladies or within the sort of school environment. So it's been really amazing to get close with her in that way, just naturally, like outside the show, and become really good friends, but to let that sort of seep into our work as well, and to sort of carry over. And now it feels like the sort of arc for the character is a very real one that's relevant to like the present day. So it feels very natural to kind of slip into that process alongside her. So it's been really amazing.
That's good. It's always so nice to see as well, because you can tell when you're in the audience, when cast members love each other, you really can tell.
Yeah.
And it makes such a difference to the show.
Yeah.
I am also so lucky to have such amazing castmates at Juliet. There's a moment in, no spoilers, in Domino where there's the four of us, SL who plays Angelique, Sharon who plays Anne, Mac who plays May, and myself. We're all holding hands at the front, and we were in this big power pose at the end of Domino. And at CLOC, you can see us in the mirrors. Every time we're in this power pose at the end, I almost start crying, because I can see just like the smiles on our faces. It's a little cute. But also the fact that there are 4 people of color leading this show, just standing in the mirror, power posing at the front, it gets me a little bit emotional. I've spoken to Sharon about this as well.
Yeah, how powerful.
It's so powerful. And we've both had this moment, and where we looked at each other and went, we're here. And Juliet, there are people of colour leading this show. There are kids in the audience that will see themselves represented on stage. And it's just been, the best experience.
Guada, I feel very lucky, because we just worked together on Mamma Mia, and we've just come off the back of that. I'd love to know, were there any particular highlights during that process for you, or anything you were really proud of?
I think being in the theatre lifts like a cast dynamic so much. And when I think back on Mamma Mia, do you know what I think of? I think of assassins.
yes. That's fair.
It's like the little moments of camaraderie like that. And like, it's not that deep, but also just getting to bond over stupid stuff like Assassins. For those who don't know, Assassins is this game where you get given a target and you have to secretly try and kill your target.
It sounds really intense, but it's really fun.
This is why I cast David Vienne in shows, because he will bring assassins. So I'm doing a show with David Vienne at the moment, so I'm sure Assassins will make its way to the Nash. But it's just this fun chaos of trying to secretly catch people in corners and backstabbing your friends, and just those little pockets of camaraderie, I think that, it's betrayal, but bond a cast together that just like lifts this whole cast dynamic and this whole social dynamic that I love. It's things like that.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting point as well. And I don't think I've ever done a show like Mamma Mia where the connection between the entire cast, ensemble and leads, was so strong. And I think you and Katie just did that so well. Like, even though, you know, we had like times where we might play a game, or like we had that rehearsal where we got to wear our costumes and work on some of the party scenes, but really like we were at a party. And even though in the moment, like as someone who's a bit self-conscious, I was like, this is why we're doing this. In like the long term, that made such a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And like things like Assassins as well. Like by the time we got to the theatre, that was like my family. And it was so easy to just come into the theatre and click with everybody and really feel the team effort. And obviously that translated really well on stage. Like everyone always came up to me and said, oh, like, are you all friends? Like, you all look like you had so much fun. Like, that's great that you can give off that vibe. And I was like, we're not pretending. We really were having an amazing time. And it's because you guys helped us to like foster that connection. So I think it worked really well.
I'm really glad. That means a lot. Do you have any post-show, pre-show rituals?
Oh, I think I have a lot of like crazy pre-show rituals, and unfortunately the more shows I do, the longer they get, and there's probably some unnecessary stuff in there, but my singing background is very physical. I had a great singing teacher who believed that everything was physically connected. So if you couldn't do something, it's because there was a specific muscle in your neck that was tight or something like that. Right. So I think even though like I'm not an amazing dancer, my like stretching routine and like self-massage routine has grown quite a lot.
Yeah. Right.
And I know, you know, if I can't hold a note for very long, I'm like, it's because like there's a muscle in my hips that's too tight or something crazy like that. So it's a long routine, but even just the mental act of like ticking things off makes me feel really prepared. Do you have any routines like that?
Insane. No, that's so cool to hear because you're an insane singer. Anyway, not any pre-show routines, but I do love a themed mic check.
Yeah, right.
I think that is so fun. I remember on my birthday, I missed it, but yes. I had a show on my birthday for Mamma Mia, and the cast, they didn't tell me, but they all picked a song from a show that I did. Thank you, Paz. And they all sang it, but I wasn't at mic check because I was having a birthday dinner. But they filmed it for me, very important. And then I made them all tell me what song they sang after. What song did you sing?
You know, I really wanted to sing your song from Strictly Ballroom, but because that soundtrack doesn't exist anywhere, and I could only remember a couple words, I think I sang Family Tree from
Catch Me.
Yeah, because I was like, that's funny, like she'll laugh at this. And then I was like, she's not here.
Where is she?
She's not here. That's okay.
But that was so special. I'm really sad that I missed it, but like I watched that video back. And again, like,
I'm so glad we did that. It
so
felt
glad.
very sweet.
It was very special. That was really cute.
Is mic check something that's like your favorite part of doing shows?
It's
like, do you think you'll look forward to doing mic checks for and Juliet? Will you have themes or something?
I think so. Do you know what I like about it is you get to learn, because you usually have themes like your dream roles, your first show, and all of these things, and you get to learn all of these things about your castmates that, you know, might not necessarily come up in conversation. You'd be like, oh yeah, that was my first show too, or like, oh my God, you would be great in that dream role, stuff like that. So like, yeah, it's a bit of fun, but also you get to learn all this stuff about your castmates.
Yeah. Guada, do you have any advice for people in community theatre?
I think the biggest thing that I would say is just be kind to everybody. Say thank you to everybody. Everyone's there volunteering their time. Just be a nice person, I think. It sounds very bare minimum, and you know what? It is kind of bare minimum, but it really does make such a big difference to your experience and everybody's experience around you if you're not coming into this with a diva mindset, if you're coming in with the mindset of, you know, we're all here to have a good time and produce quality theatre and, you know, share the stage and share our talents. But at the end of the day, I think what you get out of it, so cheesy, what you get out of it is what you put in, but it's true. Yeah. What do you reckon? Do you have any advice?
I think that's such a great point as well, and probably something that people maybe outside community theatre don't realise, that like the importance of just being kind and understanding the concept of it takes a village, which is very applicable. One thing I've learnt sort of recently is maybe like the importance of taking risks, I would say, and putting yourself out there, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to pay off. You know, it's kind of like you'll never know if you don't try.
Yeah.
And when I did my first show out of high school, which was Seussical, I'd kind of come off the back of a period where I was debating like if I belonged in that kind of space, maybe whether I was talented enough. And doing
Seussical, because of course you are.
Oh, that's very sweet. But you know, and everyone like goes through that, I think. But I really made the decision that I was going to put myself forward for that show with that company in that role. And I'd kind of convinced myself that, you know, nothing was going to come out of it, but it was a great learning experience.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've continued, where I've been like, well, you know, not to say like expect rejection, but I think you have to get comfortable with rejection, but also know your worth and like continually back yourself in this space.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something I've gotten a lot better at. So taking risks and putting yourself out there and always backing yourself, I think is very important.
On that, I think as a prod team member as well, somebody who's sat on a lot of audition panels, I think it's hard to get out of this mindset of, oh, I didn't get into this show, so I'm not talented enough. I have seen so many people come into audition rooms who are incredibly talented, but just don't necessarily fit, you know, the jigsaw puzzle piece of what we're looking for. And I think taking risks is a huge thing, because maybe it is, you are what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people get into their heads, and I get messages from people after auditions happen saying, hey, can I have some feedback? Why didn't I get this role? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is, we loved you. We really enjoyed having you in the audition room and enjoyed what you had to offer. Unfortunately, it's just, you know, maybe the person that you're opposite is a different height to you, or, you know, maybe you're too similar to this person next to you. So I think for people coming in to audition for things, please, like, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give to those people is, don't get in your head about, it's not always about your talent. It's,
yeah, for sure.
You know, yeah.
I think people forget that too, or especially if you're new to this space and coming in for the first time, I think it's important for people to hear that and to realize that sometimes it's as small as height or, you know, other things like the people you're opposite. I remember I had a string of things where I auditioned for things and just wasn't the right fit. And then I auditioned for Mamma Mia, and that was my chance. Like, that was my turn. You know, I feel like it comes around. Like, if you keep trying, you know, you'll be the right fit for something. And it's important to stay, you know, hold yourself up during that period as well, and not to lose hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any words of wisdom to any performers?
I think what I would say is, first and foremost, seek connection is how I would frame it. I think in audition rooms, you know, even if you're not the right fit for something, you're connecting with people that you might cross paths with again in the future. When you're in a show, seek connection with other people and, you know, make friends and build connections, because it will make you a better performer as well. I think even from like a wider perspective as well, just connecting as part of the community, because it's so much more than just performing. And I think it makes you a better performer. It makes you a happier person as well, connecting and going back to what you were saying before about being just nice and appreciating the work of everybody as well. So I think recognizing that connection is such a huge part of everything that we do is important.
Yeah.
Guada, do you have any words of wisdom for people who are performers?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is probably don't be afraid to take up space. If you are somebody who is a person of colour, but also you might be, you know, gender diverse or neurodiverse, or not necessarily somebody who is willing to put themselves forward, I think it's important to remember that you are just as important as everybody else in the room. And yeah, just don't be afraid to show them that.
Yeah, I love that. It definitely feels like we're shifting into a time now where we're realizing how vital that is, and people are demanding things that are very important and taking up space in the right way. So I think that's really good advice.
Absolutely. Times are changing.
Yeah, times are changing for the better.
For the better. The end.
Yay!